What up? Oh, would you look at that? It's Mr. Beast's name in the title. Nice! I'm still very clearly sick if you couldn't notice, but I'm here anyways. Hi again, Skyrim mud crabs, and welcome back to another piece of cotton candy in the last moments of its life before it gets completely dissolved in a tank of water for a YouTube video. One that will inevitably get millions of views. Seriously, look that shit up. Today we're going to be talking about something spicy, something that has quite a bit of meat to it and has sprung its gnarly butt cheeks into my eyes over the past few days. Mr. Beast is in the headlines again, and for once, it's not because he gave someone enough money to fund a small private army with which to retake an alligator-infested golf course with. No, instead it's because one of his former editors, a guy who goes by the name Turner, came out on Twitter saying his time working at the Mr. Beast company was absolutely terrible. This thing absolutely hit the big time. It got on Drama Alert, Scarce came back from the dead to cover it, and also to say that Leafy subboxed a guy named Chris, but mostly the editor stuff. And now here I am making my 10-minute and 1-second video on it. So what's it all about, you ask? Well, I'll tell you and make jokes about it the best that I'm able, because it's a bit of a mess if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Shit sent my head spinning so far I'm pretty sure I broke my neck. But before we jump into this web of loosely interconnected string cheese, if you're new to the channel, it would be super dope if you could subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified when new videos come out. And if you're already subscribed and don't have notifications on, what are you even doing, man? You are doing your fingers a disservice by not hitting that bell. But anyways, bear with me as the timeline on these tweets may be a bit weird, as access to the original tweets themselves have been taken out into the back alley and shot because Turner's original Twitter account got booped out of existence and he was relegated to his backup account, Bat Sword Turner, for a while. He says that his old account got hacked or something, and he gave some screenshots from his email saying that there was a suspicious login on his account. There's some things going around about whether or not he faked that hacking, but I'll leave that up to you. I don't know, but his old Twitter account is back now as I'm scripting this, but all of his old tweets got deleted by the alleged hacker. But first tweets first. This is what started the whole shebang. I'm not going to make a video about my time editing for Mr. Beast, but I will say that that was the most mentally draining time of my life. I was yelled at, bullied, called mentally retarded and replaceable by Mr. Beast every day. Being in tears and having mental breakdowns day after day, sounds weirdly similar to me after playing too much Skyrim, is difficult, and after a while became too much. After every editing mistake I made, I was made to feel like an absolute idiot even if the content wasn't real. No credit was given unless a video I edited got credited to someone else. Editors were told if we ever leave the team, we shouldn't be set up for success after, so no credit was given. Ideas would be taken, people would be baited into the team, and I would be screamed at and then told I just misinterpreted what I heard by his impossible to please momager. Also, side note, I feel like one of the most important things to come out of this whole situation is how Keemstar pronounced the word momager.
I just misinterpreted what I heard by his impossible to please momanger.
Oh my god, never change, Keem, never change. Anyways, where were we with this mess? We would be forced to re-sign NDAs and then told that these were our glory days. So that's a summary of almost every day in the team. That's what it was like to work for Mr. Beast, and that is why I don't work there now. Thanks for tuning in. But wait, you thought it was over there? There's one more. Okay, I'll make a video with proof and receipts and all that, and it'll be up probably next weekend. Sound good? And yeah, that's the end of the tirade. It's a long one. Now, I want to take some time going through what's been said so far in this chain of tweets, what our editor friends here's claims exactly are, and the evidence that stacks against and for it. Namely, basically every other thing he's ever said about the character of Mr. Beast, and that it contradicts the picture that he's painting of Jimmy now, but also the reasoning he has for why he said those things in the past and why he's saying what he's saying now. There's the stuff that he said initially when he first got hired by Mr. Beast, talking about how excited it was to work for him and how it was a dream come true, but I don't find that super damning, seeing as it was towards the start of his time there. He was just getting settled into the workplace, and there's a good chance that whatever issues might have come up hadn't made themselves super apparent yet. And also he said that a lot of what he said in favor of Mr. Beast was kind of indirectly pressured onto him, that he wasn't necessarily told to, but that he would be sitting in a room with the manager and then she would just kind of indirectly say, you should tweet this thing. Later though, towards the end of his tenure working for Mr. Beast, he was releasing videos talking about why he was parting ways with the team. And in those videos and in the comments section replying to people, he had nothing to say but good things about Jimmy. And these were being used as reasons why what he was saying now kind of stands on shaky ground. Like shakier than any of the girls' asses in the Hot Girl Summer video. I don't really know how to throw that shit back over there, homie. But anyways, despite earlier saying that a video with all the DMs and evidence discussing more in depth his experience working for Mr. Beast wouldn't come out until like next weekend, just yesterday, Turner released a 24-minute video and did a long 50-minute interview on Cavos' channel. In total, that is barely shorter than the runtime of Toy Story. But in those, he gave both DM evidence between him and other anonymous alleged members of MrBeast's team, where they were saying that after he left, things were still kind of bad, and also DMs and tweets from his own private Twitter account that actually were from the time he was still working there, about him complaining about some of the same issues he has been bringing up recently, confirming that these were likely thoughts and issues he's had for a long time. And before diving into these tweets again, I want to highlight a little about what he brought up in his videos yesterday, where he said his major point wasn't to participate in cancel culture or getting an explicit apology out of Jimmy, or say that he was a bad guy overall, because he said he really wasn't, or take away any of that positive energy he's put into the world. What a phrase, man. Putting out energy into the world, it just sounds like you're coming on something. But he said he was rather making the video to speak for the plight of editors on YouTube. There is something to be said about the broader mistreatment of editors on YouTube, a lot of which has to do with how they oftentimes find themselves underpaid for their work. But whether or not this is one of those cases of some kind of mistreatment or a toxic work environment, it's kind of what's in question. In that video, he also justifies why he made a video, despite him saying in his initial tweet, that sparked this whole situation that he wasn't going to be making a video at all. But back on topic, in the video, he addresses a lot of the contradictions at hand. He says that him saying good things about MrBeast in their early days wasn't him clout chasing or trying to suck up to his boss like a leech onto a human body in the mid-15th century, but that him saying a bunch of good things about MrBeast in his video on why he left and making all those tweets in his defense was him clout sucking. In that he wanted to stay on MrBeast's good side at the time because it was in his best interest to do so, as it is for most people. I think that's a reasonably understandable explanation for why he was blowing smoke up Jimmy's ass like he was Santa going down the chimney on Christmas Eve. But at the same time, he confirmed in the interview with Kavos that a lot of the nice things he said MrBeast did for him at the end of his time working for him did actually happen. Like, despite exaggerating a bunch of other stuff. Like, he said that Jimmy offering to pay for Turner's rent for a while, even after he stopped working there, was an actual offer, even if he didn't end up going for it. And he said that Jimmy helped set him up with a editor position at SOAR, though he clarified that being an editor there wasn't really a paid job, it's more just a title. One thing I can say, if you were ever an editor in a Call of Duty clan, you got treated like shit. How do I know? Because I used to be one. And yeah, while sucking up to him in the hopes of remaining on his good side, and then when all bets are off, admitting that you were exaggerating a lot of the good is one thing, a lot of what you're saying you still stand by him doing for you, Turner, completely flies in the face of that earlier comment you made on Twitter about how he or his team said after editors leave the channel, they shouldn't be set up for success after. Because according to Keemstar, MrBeast told him that he also gave you $10,000 when you left, and what I assume was some sort of severance pay for them firing you. You could say it was hush money, but if it was, that clearly didn't work. But that's in addition to all the other stuff you claim he's done for you. He also explicitly claims that his relationship with Jimmy has been super good and different comparing to when he was working for him, that it was all amicable after the fact. It sounds like the biggest complaint from Turner is the alleged use of constant negative reinforcement in the workplace, that he was called retarded and replaceable, and how that was supposed to be some sort of driving force to get the editors to do work, and that he wasn't being credited for work he actually did, and he would be berated for doing the work the way he was told to, and when he tried to do something about this handling by talking to the so-called momager, he was met by what was essentially a glorified brick wall, in the form of being told he misinterpreted what he heard. Now, as far as my take on this whole thing, full disclosure, I am biased. I really like Jimmy, and he has been nothing but great to me in all the interactions I've had with him, so it's hard for me to believe that he would be this openly or intentionally dickish. If the meme of him calling you replaceable and retarded did actually go down, you said that it felt like a contradiction because you were being baited into joining the team under the pretense of it being a kind of family. But vice versa, people who are close with each other often banter all the time. I'm not sure how he said it or how soon after you started working there he started saying stuff like that, but this is if he even did say all those things along those lines frequently. And if he did, he could have played it that loose because he thought of you guys as friends. Again, I wasn't there and I don't know, but if this happened at all, misinterpretation isn't off the table as a possibility at all. There may have never been some intention for negative reinforcement, it very well could have been meant as friendly. On the other hand though, Turner is playing a zero-sum game, so it's still kind of in question if this happened at all, but by doing this he is probably shafting a lot of his prospects in editing. So what he has to gain from all this is a little murkier. So there is some inkling in my head in that what he's saying there might have something to it, at least to himself. Like the back end of a Skyrim dungeon when you think it's over but there's more. Maybe because he's been in SOAR for a while, he feels a little more secure in his position and he feels more comfortable talking about what he says was his experience. But again, it's just his experience. it might just be in here. I feel like my biggest issue with all this is how little direction it seems to have. Like, the way Turner has gone about this is so confusing and haphazard. Turner has contradicted himself along a lot of this, though he has been able to explain some of that. It's just that his goal with all of it seems kind of up in the air. Like, it was meant to be him getting something off of his chest, but now it's him speaking to the wider issue of maltreatment of editors on YouTube. I think it just kind of remains to be seen. MrBeast really hasn't said a whole lot on this situation, so I'm kind of unsure about the whole thing. Maybe Turner has some other stuff that'll blow this out of the water, but maybe MrBeast has something that will completely shut it down. I think it's likely been blown out of proportion to some degree either way, as it doesn't seem like it was ever planned to get this big, even if it was kind of inevitable. Like, how do you not recognize that? You're literally a former editor for the biggest person on YouTube right now, and you're saying working for him sucked? We literally have an example of this exact situation, and you didn't think it would blow up? No foresight. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe with notifications on. Notifications! You can follow me on Twitter at Kwite and on Instagram at Kwite.png. Links to both of those in the description below. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and bye!